Hi, I'm Stacey Hoppus. My guest today is Fire Marshal Michael Gudelski from the Wallingford Fire Department. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So we're here today to talk about Fire Prevention Month and fire safety. Why don't we start with telling people about Fire Prevention Month and what it is?
Fire Prevention Month is the month of October. It's a nationally recognized. This is the time that we really try to push fire safety amongst everybody. You'll see that's when all our banners are out in front of the firehouses, and we do a lot of stuff with the elderly and with the children during this time. But really, fire prevention should be all year round.
All year round, right? So this year there's a theme. It is every hero doesn't wear a cape. Plan and practice your escape. A little bit of a tongue twister. But why don't we talk about how important it is for families to have an escape plan?
So an escape plan from each house is very important, and it's something that if you took out a blank piece of paper and just drew out how your house is laid out,
right,
and then draw a plan on how you're going to go out. Just like when you see at a hotel or motel movies, right, you'll see those plans there. You need one for your own house.
Right.
And you always should have a couple of different ways out. So you could say, if there's a fire here in the living room, how are you going to get out? Versus if there's a fire in the basement, how are you going to get out? So always have at least two ways out.
Okay.
But once you're out, we want you to stay out. We don't want you to go back in for, animals, toys, or anything.
Right.
And when you're out, you should be at a meeting place, whatever meeting place you want to call. But that's important because that way somebody could know that everybody's either out or there's somebody still in there. And when the fire department shows up, you'll be able to tell us, yes, somebody's not out or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's important to have one meeting place that everybody knows and everybody goes to.
Is there a distance from the house that they should?
No, what's common is either a big tree or a mailbox,
right,
is typically, or sometimes the neighbor. So either any of those work out, because a lot of times when you get out, you might not have your phone, you might not have, so
right,
going to your neighbor's house to call 911 is appropriate. Just keep everybody together that's out, and whatever
right,
you do not go back in.
And should it be important to assign like a specific person to call 911 or just whoever gets there first?
Whoever gets there first. Typically what we would like to do is if there's a whole family involved, one adult stay with the kids while
right,
the other person goes and make the phone calls. But believe it or not, there's probably already been 5 or 6 phone calls that have come in for that fire. But don't ever think that somebody called in. Go ahead and call in.
Call anyways, right?
Yes.
Even if 5 neighbors have called, make
right,
sure you do it. And then since it's Fire Prevention Month, batteries for your smoke detectors, for your carbon monoxides, how important are those?
It's very important. At least twice a year, you should be changing your batteries in your smoke detectors and your carbon monoxide detectors.
Okay.
And smoke detectors are typically good for about 10 years. And how you could tell is when you take out your smoke detector and you look at the date, it's 10 years from the manufacturer date,
okay,
not the date of install. But what's different is with your carbon monoxide detector, it's 10 years from the time it was installed.
Okay.
The other thing is that we have these new 10-year battery. You don't need to change your batteries.
Okay.
But what we still need you to do is at least every 6 months, go ahead and push the button. Make sure that works, because we've had some that have already failed within that 10-year period. So it's very important just to double check it.
And hit that reset button.
Hit that button, let it make the noise.
Okay.
And then do your drill. Practice that drill, muscle memory, get everybody out.
Right. And how often should we practice our plans at home?
I would suggest at minimum twice a year.
Okay.
I like quarterly, but if I could get twice a year out of you, that's good.
Especially if you have young ones, they
Yes,
should remember it. The more you do it, the repetition.
So the young ones will teach the adults what to do because they do it monthly at school.
That's
so
true.
they'll tell the parents to be quiet and walk in a nice steady line and go directly out. We've witnessed it. It works out well.
Yes, I have a 7, 8-year-old. They're constantly telling me how well their fire drills go.
Good.
And then sleeping at night, we should close our doors.
Yes. So at night, whenever you go to sleep, you want to close your door because you want that barrier between you and potentially the fire or smoke.
Right.
So if you hear a fire alarm going off, because smoke detectors should be immediately outside the bedroom area and if you can, have one inside the bedroom
Right.
area. But outside the bedroom area, when you hear that go off, instead of just opening up the door, you should feel the door with your hand.
Yep.
Back of your hand to see if it's hot. Even the doorknob, feel if it's hot. If it's hot, keep that door closed. Put some clothes or something on the bottom so smoke isn't coming in. And then we ask children, do not hide,
Right.
or adults, do not hide. Stay present by the window, because the firefighters, we're going to be able to identify that's the room that you were in, that's how we're going to come in, and we're going to get you out.
And make sure you're a high priority.
Right. If you feel that it's not hot and you open it up and it's not very smoky, stay low and crawl out, because smoke rises, so you go low, and that's where all the good oxygen is. And then get out and go out to that meeting place that we discussed earlier.
Perfect. So we've talked about the plans, mapping it out, practicing it. Fall and winter are among us. Fall is already here. Winter is coming soon. Why don't we talk a little bit about the fire safety during the fall and winter months?
So 'tis the season for candles.
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful with candles, because they do catch articles on fire. And one thing that people don't realize is that typically when you have candles in the glass, you only want to burn it about halfway down, because sometimes the glass absorbs the heat.
Right.
And what will happen is it'll crack or break, and then it'll splatter wax, and then we've had fires because of that, or
Right.
them tipped over. This time of year, everything is drying out. It's Halloween. People like to take straw and bring all that in. Keep
Right.
anything, heaters and candles, away from there, because we don't want that to start any fires.
Right.
As far as heaters,
Yeah.
kerosene heaters are not allowed in the state of Connecticut to be inside.
Okay.
There's issues with that. If you're plugging in electric heater, just keep anything that's combustible 10 feet away from it, so it gives it room. And put it out in the middle so it could expand, just not underneath the desk.
Right.
And then lastly, clean your chimney.
Right.
Creosote, what it is the incomplete combustion. So when your chimney works, it's very hot, and then it goes up to where it gets cold.
Right.
When it gets to that cold spot, that's where all the heat and the smoke and things that didn't totally combust stick to the wall of your chimney. And after a while, it builds in and it restricts, and then eventually gets hot enough, and we have chimney fires.
Right.
And with a chimney fire, very often they can spread into the houses.
Right. And when you get your chimney cleaned, should you have a professional certified chimney cleaner do it? Or is it okay to do it yourselves?
I would always recommend to have somebody professionally do it, because at the same time they should be inspecting it. So if they start seeing crack in the mortar or there's something wrong, they
Right.
could say, I recommend that you don't do that. And at the same time, they're cleaning up the ash in the chimney boxes too.
Right.
When you're also having a fire inside, don't take your hot ash and put it in a box and put it outside on your porch. When you
Okay.
clean out your ash, take it out, don't put it in something that's a metal container, and bring it far enough away, because that's another cause that we've had a lot of fires in town with.
Okay. Now, could they put it in a metal container and wet it so that it
Yeah, wetting it,
exhausts itself?
yeah. But I would do that outside, because you don't
Yes.
want to do it all.
you'll get smoke all
Yeah,
everywhere?
you'll get smoke and you'll get the dust and all that all over the
Right.
place. But I recommend you take it outside and you put out. A lot of people, what commonly happens is they'll take it out and they'll put it in something plastic, and they'll say, well, the fire went out a while ago, but it's still smoldering.
Right.
And they'll put it on the wooden deck, and next thing you know, we have
Your
a
deck's
fire.
on fire, right?
Right.
And then ovens. You had told me don't store things in your oven.
So for some reason, when people aren't cooking as much, they like to store newspapers, pizza boxes, mail, all sorts of stuff in your oven. Don't put anything combustible around your oven.
Right.
And especially, don't use your oven to heat your home.
Yes.
So keep everything combustible out of your oven,
Yeah.
including Tupperware or plastic type of stuff like that, because if that gets heated up and it burns, it releases toxins.
Right.
So keep all combustibles away from the stove and the oven.
Right. Cookie sheets are okay.
Cookie sheets, yes.
As long as they're metal.
Yes, as long as they're metal, you can keep them inside there.
Right.
That's fine.
All right. And then we had talked a little about the holidays and your pumpkins and decorations and Christmas lights, things like that. How important is it to make sure that we're putting out our pumpkins or using the battery lights
Use a battery
instead.
operated that makes it look like there's a candle inside, because if you're using a lot of times they're outside or people forget about them, and there's cause for fire because it's pumpkin. It's not always stable.
And you don't want your trick-or-treaters to catch fire
No,
either.
we don't want your trick-or-treaters to catch fire. We want everybody to have fun during that time. So be very careful with any type of candles, anything you're putting in there. I always suggest the battery-operated ones. That looks really good. And then with lights, you need to be careful with extension cords. You got to make sure that the amperage that you're using for the lights meets the extension cord. If you use you can't overload an extension cord because it'll cause too much heat, and the heat with the extension cord will end up catching a fire.
Right. And then our Christmas trees lights, unplug your lights at night so that they're not burning all evening.
I recommend that because you're not there, you're not able to supervise it. But at the same time, if you have a Christmas tree and it's real, you need to make sure that you're continuously watering it. So it could stay moist.
Right.
Once they dry out, they could catch fire very easily. And we will probably do a demonstration this year that we'll film so you could see what it's like to have a Christmas tree catch on fire.
Oh, exciting.
It is, but it's
scary at the same time.
It is scary.
Yes.
I went away from real Christmas trees myself. So.
Okay. Well, we have about 2 minutes left. Why don't we just talk about where you guys are in your hours of operation, how people can reach out to you if they have questions?
All right, well, they could always give us a call and we're at 75 Masonic Avenue. We're at fire headquarters. Okay. And the telephone number is 294-2766 is Fire Prevention Office. You could call there. And you could also call that number. We do have a smoke detector program. Okay. So they could call there and give us a call, leave an address, somebody will get a hold of you, and they'll come out and they'll install it for you. Perfect. And yeah, that's our hours of operation. Normal hours of operation are 8:30 to 4, but we're really working 24 hours. So.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a wonderful amount of information that I think is very important for the community to know.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. Once again, I'm Stacey Hoppus, and I'll see you around town.